So, the basic, well, hello everyone, my name is James Ryan. Hello everyone, my name is James Ryan, and I'm here to teach you how to build a Redstone computer in Minecraft from the ground up. If you haven't seen my earlier videos, I suggest you watch them, so you understand what the heck's going on. But this is the basic RS NOR latch. It's two NOT gates. It's kind of like it's two NOT gates fed into each other, but not quite. They need inputs. So this is input. These are the two inputs. Now let's take a closer inspection at what's going on here. Okay, here's what's going on. This torch is powering this block, which is depowering this torch, which is allowing this torch here to stay powered, etc., etc., etc. So this is a stable state, okay? But what if somehow I were to force this torch right here? But, okay, so we've got this torch here, and everything's stable. But what if I were to somehow force this torch to become depowered, to stop sending out a constant redstone signal? For example, by sending a redstone signal to it and depowering it. Ooh, something interesting happens. This torch is now turned off, allowing this torch to turn on, which is sending a signal. And then, even if I undo and even remove this lever, it will continue to stay in this new state, because now the status quo has changed. This torch is keeping this torch depowered, which is letting this torch continue depowering it, and so on and so on. This is an example of a set reset latch, because there are two inputs and one output. Well, actually, there's two outputs, but we'll talk about that later. This lever here could be considered the set input. Once a redstone signal, because when a redstone signal is sent, even for a tiny amount of time, it sets the output. It makes it turn on. And the output stays on. When a redstone signal is sent to the reset, input, then the output is reset and it is turned off. And turn it on and off, it does that. It will stay on no matter what. And if I set it here, then it will keep it off. Makes sense? Hang on. Makes sense? Good. Now, the thing about this gate is there are actually two outputs. And each of these outputs will actually be the opposite of each other, as you may or may not have guessed. See, the reset will then make sure that this output is on, and set makes this output on. What we do is we choose one of these gates to be the output, arbitrarily, whichever one you use more suitable for your purposes, and then this other output we call the inverted output. So, it's a bit arbitrary, but if we say this is our output, then this is the inverted output, and if this is our output, then this will be an inverted output, because they're both really just inverted versions of each other. Now, if we take a look at a truth table for this diagram, well, first of all, you might be thinking, can such a thing like this even have a truth table? Well, I'll show you how. First of all, let's refresh these levers to make sure that both of them are definitely off. I want them both to be facing the same way. There we go. So the right is off and left will be on for the moment. What happens? Okay. Well, if we'll call this the set input, and this one here will be the reset input. If set is on and reset is off, so if set is, I've done this wrong. This is the correct way of doing it. Here we go. So if set is on, but reset is off, then the output will be on, and the inverted output will be off. But we won't worry about that. We're only focusing on the main output for the moment. On the contrary, if reset is on, but set is off, then the output will be off. Okay, that makes sense so far. If they're both off, then we have something new. If they're both off, then it will retain its previous state. So if its previous state was, well, if its previous state was on, then when I return to both of these off, it will retain its previous state and this will be on. However, if I go to this state and make it off because reset is on while set is off, then it will retain its, when I put them back both off, it will retain its state and it will be off. So that's interesting. It has some type of memory now. What if they're both on? Well, then you get a bit of a problem. When they're both on, it changes depending on the gates in particular. You get this. Both the input and the inverted E input are on. And that's just because of the way the redstone in this particular has done it. Maybe you would have gotten a different thing with electricity, etc., etc. But even so, this is not the intended function of the gate. It's not meant to be on if both of them are on. This is actually undefined. You really shouldn't. The gate is not designed in any way, shape, or form to handle this. It is unidentified. It is undefined. The gate is not designed to handle this type of input. If you have this in a simple redstone contraption, you really shouldn't have this ever happen to an RS NOR latch if you have it on a simple redstone contraption. But if it does, it should be easily troubleshootable. However, if this does occur in a computer, then that could be a problem, and you might want to look into fixing that, obviously. Now you might be thinking, well, why is it called an RS NOR latch? Well, that's actually because it is in fact two NOR gates with the output of one plugged into each other. Let's take a look. This is NOR gate number 1. This part here, where the two inputs join, is the OR, and this inverted part is the NOR. Let's take a look. This is input A. Input A is the first input into this NOR gate, and the second input into the NOR gate is actually the output of the second NOR gate. For the second NOR gate, the first input is the output of the first NOR gate, and the second input is input B. I can prove that this is so by creating a replica setup using NOR gates, using the NOR gates that you might be familiar with. So here is the redstone on top. Here's an output. Here is the here's the inputs. This is input A. This is input B, and the input if into the second OR gate is actually the output of the first NOR gate. So, like so. Okay, so this output here is going in as the input into the second gate. Make sense? Cool. Whereas the output from this gate is then going in as the input into... hang on, how did I do this last time? Just a second. Alright, let's try again. So we've got two NOR gates. We've got input A and B in. Now the input of this gate okay. So the input of the second gate is going to be the output of the first gate, like so. Okay. Whereas the input the input for the first gate is going to be the output of the